We are live. What do you know? What do you know? Hello, everybody. Welcome to our November webinar. And we have a guest that is no stranger to Pro Shop webinars, the famous in the US, maybe not worldwide, but we're getting there. Kody Guidry of Coastal Machine and Supply. Um, Thank you, Kody, for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, you guys have earned it by just being so good at executing and driving the bar and just being an excellent shop. So, I've seen it firsthand at your crawfish boils and just being at the facility and seeing what you guys are doing from afar. And it is impressive. And I appreciate you sharing today with everyone what you guys are doing.
Thank you.
All right, let's dig into it. It seems like we have a critical mass. I always love to start these things with tell us where you're joining from. Throw in the chat. There we go. Thank you, Sean. Oh, Sean, good to see you here. Santa Ana, Bro Bridge. All right, well, we know where that's coming from. Um, San Diego, Ronald, good to see you here, Ronald, as well. And all right, don't be shy, folks. Let us know where you're going. Yeah, some people are putting in host and panelist, but you can do it to everyone. Oh, hey, Kay, good to see you here. Seen you on some other ones recently. Gary in Toronto, very good. I see Lisa, Les. Nice to see these names. Awesome. All right. Well, I think we're getting critical mass here. Let's get moving. Talk about the agenda today. So we're really here to talk about, the blueprint for what Coastal Machine and Supply has done over the last several years to just grow this business, diversify it, strengthen it, sort of how they did it, and why it's important for shops that are on that journey or thinking about starting that journey to just get going, like no time like the present. And I know sometimes there's this thought that, oh, I'll just, it's not the best time. We're either too busy or we're too slow or something. But I always think about it like having kids, like, you're young or you don't make enough money or you haven't bought that house yet or whatever, or it just seems like it's not the right time. But when the time comes, it's the perfect time. And I know my first son was somewhat unexpected, but boy, am I glad we had him when we did. And so, yeah, there's the best. What is the old saying? The best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago, and the second best time is today. So we'll talk a little bit about that. So, what housekeeping items here? Um, let's peel that onion. Popcorn ready. Thanks, Fallen Cody. That's awesome. Please use the Q&A feature for questions, and feel free to throw them in there anytime through the webinar as they come up. We will definitely get to those at the end. I might even address some of them in the middle of the conversation if it makes sense. Of course, this webinar is being recorded. Some people ask that. We always record these, and we'll definitely send you a link to the recording afterwards. Again, here's Kody. Kody and I were just saying we need a new picture of him. He was without a tuxedo, and but yeah, Kody, tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey at Coastal over the last many years.
Yeah, no, thanks, Paul, and thanks again for having me. Really appreciate being here and being able to share. Yeah, so my name's Cody. I'm the general manager and one of the partners here at Coastal Machine. Been here. It's long. Trying to remember now, but it's 15 years, going on 16 years. So started out in quality control, just a QC inspector here. With the intention of moving up in the company and before the other partners, you know kudos to them on the company they built, really, and the structure they put in place here. But started out in QC and just kind of hit the ground running, became quality manager and started helping out implementing systems, kind of taking over quality and all that stuff, and then doing production control and scheduling and then quoting and then building out departments and all of that, and eventually found myself as an operations manager for a couple of years, and then 2023. I was blessed to become a partner here, so I've been a partner since 2023 now, and now general manager and pretty much running all day-to-day operations here and strategic vision for the company as well.
Yes, and yeah, that some of that happened, since I got to know you, and I remember some of those conversations, and just so excited when you became a partner. And but you made it happen for yourself, man. Through your incredible diligence and hard work. So,
Thank you.
and I remember that it took a little while for you guys to decide that ProShop was the right tool for you. As many people out there in the industry are, skeptical, unsure. It's a big leap of faith. But I think, once you did, you guys just went for it like no one's business. And so maybe just talk a little bit about, the challenge you faced before, what it was like just, working in the business every day, and a little bit of your decision to finally move forward, and what you learned from what may have shared before, like, I wish we'd pulled the trigger sooner kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, where we were with our previous ERP is, it felt like we were kind of outgrowing the system. We're trying to tie different pieces of software together to make things happen, whether it's scheduling, Excel reports, or whatever it may be. But we were, you know, blessed to find out about ProShop, and it took a good year for us to pull that trigger. I remember visiting y'all at the IMTS booth when y'all were on the lower level, which was
Yes, in our
a
tiny
long
10 by
time
10.
ago. We had various people from the company with me, and I kept bringing them to buy it to the booth to show them everything, to try to get buy-in completely for the whole company. We just kind of wanted more for the company, and I could see the vision in ProShop. I could see where you could do things that we couldn't do previously. So, but not everybody was completely bought in, so we didn't pull the trigger really. I
Hmm.
get that 100% buy-in, but my thing was anytime something came up in our previous ERP that wasn't working or was frustrating people, I made sure to tell them, man, ProShop can do this. Like we wouldn't
Right.
have this problem if we just switched to ProShop. So finally, our director of sales actually is the one who was kind of holding this up in the end, and he laughs about it now. But he's like, I wish we'd have pulled the trigger a lot sooner, man. I couldn't imagine where we'd be now without ProShop. So
Yeah. And we'll get to some slides where you guys have sort of changed a bit of the tactics of your sales and marketing approach. Um, but yeah, it was great when he finally started seeing the light.
yeah,
Um, so, and funny, I don't think, let me just look at the attendee list. Oh yeah. Um, there are companies out there that we have talked with for years. And they're out there fighting the good fight, and living with and doing the best they can with the systems they have in place. Um, and often these, one of these two things come up, like, it's so busy right now, we're just scrambling to get parts out the door. Um, can't imagine diverting any attention to trying to learn a new system, or do something new. Or, it's slow right now, we really need to conserve cash, and it's just seems risky to pull the trigger on something like that. But maybe if you could share, because I know you guys started seeing some fairly immediate results. You've told the story before where you plan to, like, phase out all your old jobs over the course of a few months. And after just a few weeks, your machinists were like, please put all these old jobs in this new system, because we're seeing such improvements so quickly. Maybe just speak to a little bit of that.
yeah. So when we were first implementing ProShop, we were just going to take a kind of a slow approach with it, because it was a completely different system. I mean, we're going from paper everywhere to just taking paper away completely. So I mean, it was kind of scary. So we kind of started running both systems side by side, and then we eventually stopped putting new work into the old system, and only new work went into ProShop. and that's kind of how we were doing it. But that was we were just gonna phase out the old stuff. But it got to the point where like everybody was buying in, and things were moving just so much easier in Pro Shop. Where, over a couple weekends, I said this is enough, and just kind of went home and took all the work orders we had in the old system and manually just brought everything over to the new system and just caught it all up to speed, checked everything off, and just said, okay, we're done with the old system now. Let's do this. And that was probably 3 weeks after going live with ProShop completely,
Right.
that we finally decided to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know that we're going to, I think there's a timeline um, slide coming up here, but um, yeah, I mean, being in the seat that you were in, can you just maybe speak to a little bit of what, and I know this will be very relatable to any shop out there, just sort of the firefighting mode of, you know, realizing, a schedule is behind, if, material hasn't shown up, someone clocked out, clocked out sick, um, just all the myriad, customers changing revs, whatever it might be. And oftentimes those challenges lead to just being so kind of stuck in the weeds of trying to firefight that it's hard to see the big picture and get a better handle on control of what's going on in the shop.
Yeah, I mean, like without like that's just thinking back of how we even handling all of that before was just absolutely crazy. But you get stuck in doing all of that, and it's before it was, I mean, to find a work order and all of that, and whether it's you go try to find a work order and you realize it's a work order that got coolant on it and everything's messed up and all that. So now you got to spend the time to reprint work orders and all the data packet, find the NTRs and all that stuff again. And
Mhm.
it's so crazy because now I just did it the other day. A customer sent a rep change on a part, and I just uploaded from my workstation and just shoot a message out to everybody saying, hey, the rev on this changed, and everybody knows what they have to do for it. So it's so instant. I don't have to go track down a work order and figure out where we at in the process or anything like that. So yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. And then, so back in those days as well, you guys were 100% oil and gas,
Yeah.
right? And you, had some, and still do have some, fantastic customers, but that industry is, quite volatile, as the people that serve it know. And I'm guessing that even the option to diversify perhaps wasn't even, like that real on your radar, that was something that was possible for you guys.
No, not at all. Never even thought about it. Yeah.
And was that because just the hurdle of learning, even just like getting a foot in the door with customers outside of oil and gas, or can you maybe just share a little bit more of what that was?
Yeah, I mean that was one of them for sure. We had no idea how we would do that. And then we're talking about bringing on, a whole new QMS system, AS 9100, and that's just completely it's just different than what we were doing with our oil and gas QMS system. So, but then switching was the beauty of it is when you make the switch to ProShop is built around AS 9100, so all of
Mhm.
that stuff was already in there. It made it a lot easier.
Got it. And maybe just for folks, describe this ridiculous image that we kind of recreated to simulate what this hallway was actually back in the day.
Yeah. So this is the hall coming from the front office to the shop. And like I said, with our old ERP system, we were trying to figure out every possible way to really visualize things and understand where jobs are at in the process or on machines and organize everything. And on this hall, on that left-hand side, we had bins with the work orders, and we got clever enough to print kind of with the start date we needed on the work order sideways. So when it was in there, we would organize every single bin sideways by start date. But then on that right-hand side, that whiteboard is actually magnetic, and we would just write the job number, and then we had all the machines outlined, and then we just had all the magnets all in the machine line, and then but kind of you have it all on the wall right there, all around where Kelsey is. We just had
Yeah.
magnets everywhere just for staging areas. So it was, it was unique, but it actually kind of worked. So
Right.
people would have when they were done with the job, they would literally have to go take the magnet and move it to the next area.
Oh,
So it
wow.
was, yeah.
So your machinist would actually come in and move something
Yeah,
over to
yeah,
show, to let everyone else know it was now somewhere else in the shop.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
I saw someone's reaction with like a oh my gosh face emoji. So clearly there's
yeah.
folks out there that can relate to this. Yeah, if you relate to this or share in the chat just what crazy system that you have at your shop to try to organize all the paper chaos.
Yeah. Yeah. And
All right.
I saw and shout out to JD because he's the one who I see he's on the
I
call.
do
So,
see him in here. Yep.
JD's the one who actually told us about Pro Shop, but he was here during this time as well. So but I'm sure he remembers that time.
Yes. And JD, I think, is still in the history books at Pro Shop at the as the first and maybe only triple time customer, right? Bringing it on at M&M and then helping introduce you guys to it and then moving on and bringing it on to Total Machine where he's at now. So yeah, grateful to that gentleman. And he doesn't, I don't think we were talking recently. I don't think he realized that he was customer number 7, I think, at M&M. And it was quite a leap of faith, in early 2017 when
Yeah.
we were just a tiny company. There's probably 4 of us, quite honestly, in the company. And now there's more than 100 more than that. So, all right, well, let's talk about diversifying. And when you decide, we already talked a little bit about sort of going all in and deciding to, take all your old travelers and maybe paint a picture. How many sort of total, work orders might you have had in
I would
work?
probably anywhere from 100, maybe around 150 active work orders at a time, 150
Okay.
to 200,
Yep.
probably around there.
Yep. All right. So you rip the Band-Aid off. You went all in. And then it was around this time that you had shared that your quality manager, who previously was just full-time, doing paperwork, reviewing things, he started freeing up a lot of his time. Maybe just share a little bit of the things that he didn't need to do anymore or was now more automated, and then what he did with that free time.
Yeah, I mean the probably number one thing was like the contract review process, or he handled a lot of that. But it was such a paperwork intensive thing. I mean, we were in the front office, we were moving work orders around from one office to the next, but to just go through everything, even for repeat jobs, like we ran this job already, but it's just the way it was set up. It was so labor intensive. But then switching over to Pro Shop with the checklists, and you have the proven history that we've reviewed this stuff already, and it's the same rev, so there's no need to do all of this stuff again as long as people didn't change things, which they shouldn't. It started freeing up a lot of his time, a lot.
Yeah. And then what did you guys decide to do with that time?
Yeah, so
It's a leading question, obviously.
yes, yes. And so I mean, actually, COVID hit, and oil and gas pretty much tanked. So it was like, man, this is perfect time. It's time to diversify the company. We have AS9100 pretty much in our system already. We're using it, and we don't even realize it because the Pro Shop is built around the AS9100 standard. So we decided this is it. We got to do it now, especially now since we're slow with the oil and gas work. If we don't do it now, we're never going to want to do it when we're busy again. So if there's any time, it's now. So we decided to go full in and go after AS9100.
And you guys got it pretty fast.
We did. We got a gap analysis from ProShop in October.
Hmm.
Then we received our stage one cert for AS9100 in November, stage two in January, and then we received certification in February. So 4 months, four
Yeah.
month process maybe from gap analysis to certification.
Yeah, and you guys didn't even use our QMS consulting. You did it on your own.
Yeah,
Obviously, you used the content that was in the system, but yeah,
yeah,
pretty exceptional. And that's what I mean by just watching you guys execute. You guys just decide on a goal and you fricking go after it. Nothing stopping you guys. So I think that's one of the biggest takeaways of this entire webinar is seeing the difference in how companies out there, are assertive or, make decisions and then really just go all in on those decisions. It's been cool to watch you guys do that.
Yes,
So appreciate
it's
you
been
sharing.
fun. It's fun for sure.
Yeah. Now you have shared a number of times that there were some areas of improvements that you never even expected to make an improvement in. Any of those still at the top of mind? Can you share things that you didn't even think were going to be on the list to get better?
Yeah, I mean, we figured everything would be organized better, but the way it has become now, where we rely so much on the system, it's more than we could have ever imagined. Where every time we need to do something in the shop or make some type of change, we're looking to Pro Shop to try to implement it within Pro Shop. So it's tracked. There's an audit trail. We can see who did it, when they did it, I mean, even some things is when we request special tooling, like when planners request special tooling for a job, we do it straight through process dev in there. We make sure they don't go through a chat system to say, hey, I need this for this job. We do it through process dev. That way it's tracked in there, we know, and then we have a whole system of how it kind of turns into a tool and manufacturing orders it when they need and make sure it's there for the next time we run the job.
Yep. Yeah. Very good. Well, yeah, that sort of single source of truth is such an important concept. And the fact that most shops have, if they have an ERP at all, they have that, and then they probably have a dozen plus spreadsheets, and then they have lots of emails going back and forth about things, or post-it notes, or stand-up meetings where things are shared. And it's so easy to lose track of those things, or not have other people have visibility so they can help make the right decision about something. Um, and yeah, I mean, kudos to you for using process development for all those kinds of things, because that's what Kelsey and Matt originally designed them for, and how we used it at Pro CNC. So now, when I saw this slide that you and Sarah created, I was like, oh my gosh, that is a wild statistic. So you were 100% oil and gas. Obviously, it's now, starting in 2021. But I know entering new markets is never, just a big leap forward. It's always sort of a slow progression. But just maybe share a little bit of the journey over the last 4 years, going from 100% oil and gas to this level of diversification.
Yeah, I mean, we had absolutely no idea how we were going to get aerospace work at all because we didn't know a single person in the market. But I feel like we've been blessed to get connected and network with the people we're hooked up with now, whether it's customers or just people in the industry.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I think we had our first aerospace job in May, maybe, where we just got lucky. It kind of fell into our lap, really.
May of 21.
Yeah, May of 21. And
Yeah,
then, but it was slow. It's not like those jobs were coming in every month.
sure.
We have a quote or two come in once a month and then gained a little traction. Oh, these people like doing business with this. So it ends up being a domino effect. And if you treat the customers right, these engineers and everybody, they just move on to new companies at some point. And so they end up wanting to do business with you, and it's just a domino effect. And then now, I mean, I think last year we were 25%, 20% space and defense. And this year, over the last 4 months, we're at 50% space and defense. And next year could easily be 60, 75% space and defense, the way things are going right now.
Wild. That is truly wild. Um, and I know, like, last week, you and Chandler were out in California, and you shared just like the Rolodex of high-end aerospace defense companies, right? Obviously, you mentioned, sort of getting, connecting the sort of the network and meeting people, but maybe share us a little bit more of some of the things you did to have those introductions. Was it cold calling? Was it going to events, trade shows, changing your SEO, your media strategy, marketing? What have you done to be
I mean,
successful there?
it's been a combination of all those things, but I mean, the one of the first ways we got into one of the aerospace and defense companies is actually our local EDM vendor somehow ended up with an aerospace company, contacted them to do some EDM work, and they recommended us to just do the machine work on it. Well, that job ended up just kind of the project phased out and nothing really happened with it. But at that point, I had a contact for the aerospace company, and I just kept emailing them every couple of weeks. And it probably took quite a while to finally break through to that shop. I want to say I've shared this before, but it was probably a year that it took to actually get to that specific aerospace contact, and we got in with them. And but it's persistence. I kept emailing them almost every month. Every time we had a new machine, every time we brought on new capability, I was emailing that contact and just letting them know. Whether they emailed me back or not, it didn't matter.
Sure.
But finally, I guess I emailed bothered them enough, and they said, "Okay, yeah, well, let's bring you on board right here." So a combination of that and just networking with the people,
Yeah.
and then over the past year, we've really ramped up our SEO, our marketing, all of that to just really dive in and concentrate on what we really enjoy doing in the space and defense industry, and
Mhm.
not even only that industry, just in manufacturing in general, just so we're concentrating on what we're good at. That way we can give customers the best product they can get.
Well, there's a couple of real takeaways there. There's a lot of I've seen it, and my shop even experienced it for quite a while, where you just sort of take what comes, and you're like, oh, we'll figure out how to do this. And sometimes it goes okay, and sometimes it really doesn't. And that intentionality of knowing what you're good at, um, deciding to focus your efforts on those types of customers or products or sizes or materials or geometries, whatever it might be, um, can be such a big lever towards sort of having better profitable, on average, better profitability across jobs that you actually are good at, not struggling to figure out something that you're not good at. So that's an important takeaway, I think. And then emailing a guy every couple weeks or month for a year, that is how you have to do it, right? They say, someone won't make a purchase decision unless they like see your message or something like 20 times or something ridiculous like that. And, case in point, if you'd given up after the first 2, 3 months, you never would have gotten that customer.
No, not at all. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're out there, pounding the streets trying to find new customers, keep it up, be respectful about it, be creative with what you're sharing, new machine, great project that you just, completed on time or early, new capabilities, whatever. But yeah, keep it up. It's
Yeah,
important.
and I'll add as well as when we first got on with Pro Shop and kind of hearing you speak, just sales focus. I mean, always be sales focused, sales or even when you don't have capacity, you still should be selling.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's we just made a trip out to California. We had no reason to really, but it was just
Other
connection
than a great
and
golf
network.
course.
Just yeah, yeah, the golf of course. But it's you should always be selling, always.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, hearing how busy you guys are right now, the backlog you have, but you're out visiting customers and prospects, selling, that is the right time to do it, right? Do not, because every industry has its own cycles, right? And the more you diversify, the more those different sort of ebbs and flows will kind of even each other out. But even at that, if you do want to have a growth trajectory overall, you gotta always be selling. So yeah, good on you for doing that. Even when, you know, like there's so many jobs that you don't know how you're gonna get them all done, yet you're still out investing
Yeah,
the time.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, my shop lived that in a really bad way where, I'd go out and do some selling, I'd bring a bunch of work in, but then I'd get sucked in like helping project manage and get things done, and then I wouldn't be selling for a few months, and then work would fall off a cliff. We'd have a month where we didn't ship enough revenue to even break even, and it was terrible on profitability. So
Yeah.
we learned that lesson a long time ago. So
Yeah.
learn it from ours and don't make it yourself. And we threw this slide in here because I know that you guys at the beginning tried to do some customizations and hijack this field and let's make it more like E2 and whatever. Can you just share a little bit of wisdom here?
Yeah, I mean, please run. run Pro Shop the way it's set up when it's given to you. Don't try to start changing everything because we did, and then we realized things wouldn't work, and it was put in this specific place, and it was done this way for a reason. So we ended up months after trying to do it our own way because we knew best, obviously. Uh, we kind of started changing things back to the way Pro Shop intends them. So please don't buck the system.
Yeah, there's a method to the madness, but it all comes clear once you understand it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's just talk about driving results. You've talked at length about paper travelers and setup sheets and those kind of things. Maybe just talk a little bit more about the move to digital work instructions, inspections, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, previously, like right before we made the switch to ProShop, we had started implementing setup sheets. So, but it was all paper based. We were having the guys have to get a piece of paper that was formatted for a setup sheet, and they would fill it out, and then they would come drop it by my office, and then I would sit there and type everything in so it could be somewhat clean. We don't have to do, it wouldn't look at somebody's handwriting.
Right.
So we had just started doing that because we wanted setup sheets in the shop. We were having repeat jobs, but nobody knew, how the previous person cut it. It was just looking at a program and that was it. Or go and find a drawing in somebody's toolbox because they kept notes on that drawing, but they locked it away for themselves the next time they go run it. Yeah, so I mean, it just when we moved to pro shops, like everything's, I mean, it's easy for the machinist just to add notes into the setup sheets. Hey, this is how I set it up. These are the tools I use. This is I had trouble with this or whatever it may be. It just made it so much more convenient for them to do it right there. So the next time that we go run the job, it's there, and it could be somebody totally different. That machinist might not even be here anymore, but we have the information captured on how they ran it. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's highly important and it makes a big difference
Sure.
to capture all of that knowledge and to put that into the system. So, and that's what makes things flow faster throughout the shop. That's how you get increased throughput. That's how your scheduling gets better because your cycle times are being improved every single time, and machinists are updating it for whatever it may be. And then that's obviously how you get good on-time delivery, and you get good job costing and all that. So it all adds up to the end result.
Well, I thought I was gonna have to prompt each of these main points, but you just like flowed right through them
Yeah.
like you like you have lived it before. Um, yeah, and in the next slide we're gonna talk about your marketing, but I want to just talk about the pre-processing checklist. Because you've started, using your tech stack in your marketing, which is something I've advocated for years. But that I know that's a feature that some even current customers just haven't wrapped their heads around or decided to really jump into with both feet. Maybe just talk about the significance or the importance of the concept of structuring the pre-setup activities to make sure you're setting up that machinist for the best success possible.
Yeah. I mean, when we first started with ProShop, I could see the like kind of the vision behind the pre-processing checklist and how big it could be, but we started very, very basic. I mean, we started with a few things. It's like we need to make sure we have a print attached. We need to make sure we have this, and we need to make sure somebody looks over the job. It wasn't much at all. But then over time that developed, okay, we run into this issue. Well, let's make sure this doesn't happen again. Let's add it to the pre check. So that's all we kept doing. That's what we continuously do. Now we're to the point where when somebody plans a job, they have to review process dev. They have to sign off saying they did it for any open orders. They review NCR history for repeat production parts to determine, hey, I see a pattern of NCRs right here. Maybe we should kick off a corrective action before we run this job again. Look at special tooling. If it's a repeat production, even review the program again, not just run it again, but okay, let's spend a little time just to review the program, make sure this is all right for the way we're going to do it, and sign off on it. So it's a continuous evolution of that, but it's highly important. And once you start doing those things, it makes it when the job gets to the machine, it just makes it so much easier and faster to run.
Well, thank you for that. And you shared a couple of really key things there, but inherent in some of what you said was, reviewing things, looking at past NCRs, deciding to kick off a corrective action potentially or preventative action. Um, Maybe just speak a little bit about this because we have people for sure um, push back on doing more upfront planning work. They're like, I don't have time for that. I just got to get this job to the floor like ASAP, right? Maybe just talk about having been through that now. Maybe you had some of that feeling yourself, but now that you're on the other side of it, I always talk about, you spend 1 minute, planning, you're going to save 10 minutes later.
Yeah.
Give your thoughts on that.
Yeah, and I mean that's exactly what I was gonna say. It's somebody's gonna have to do it down the line at some point. So the worst person to do it is the machinist and stop the machine from running. I mean the whole point is you want high utilization, you want high runtime hours. So you want your machines running as much as possible. But if your machinist is stopping to figure out problems that could have been prevented in the front office,
Mhm.
by you spending an extra 10 minutes, I mean you're wasting an hour on the machine, and every hour is valuable. If your machines aren't running, you're not making money, no matter how you look at it.
What is
So
that saying? If you're not making chips, you're not
yeah,
making money.
you're
Bam.
right.
I've heard that
You
somewhere.
are. I was gonna let you say it. Yeah. No, but it's true. I mean, you spend a little extra time doing these checkoffs and just making sure, you know, everything's in place, and it saves so much more time down the line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you, if I don't know if you even have a number in your head, but just like the percentage of setup time reduction on average for giving a machinist a fully prepped and kitted, ready to go setup, rather than what you did before.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have one because offhand, we've probably just what we've done so far. We've probably saved 10-15%. That's my guess. But
Mm-hmm.
we're constantly doing things to try to reduce that setup time.
Mm-hmm.
So we're starting to look at, kitting tools and stuff for jobs. So machinists are starting looking for tools now. That's kind of the big push right now is when
Right.
programmers are programming, let's get the whole tool list in there that the machinist knows exactly what tool list to use, what tools to use, what inserts to grab and all that. So they don't have to spend an extra 5-10 minutes thinking about what they need to use or thinking about where's this tool at. So that's kind of the push. The end result is to have a whole kitted cart for
Yeah.
them.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's a big one. Um, I know that you've even shared publicly, like on your company's LinkedIn page, and I would encourage you all to go check out their LinkedIn page and follow them, because what they're doing there is, I think, really sort of next level, for what a shop can do. So here's three snapshots that we grabbed from posts from the Coastal Machine, company page that you're using in your marketing, right? And you're writing blogs about it, so you have SEO content around this, right? This first one here is talking about that pre-production checklist that we were just talking about, um, and why that sets you apart. Here you're talking about your full tool stack, right? Paperless parts for quoting, ProShop, Mastercam, machine monitoring with Datanomics, high QA for balloon tagging and stuff, and how that streamlines your process. And then here talking about, remember the days of 5-inch thick paper stacks, right? And anyone that does complex parts or assemblies knows that pain super well. I mean, I can remember seeing stacks this high. Um, but maybe just share a little bit about this shift you've had in the way you go to find new customers and the way you market and sell to them.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, a customer wants to know that if they're giving you an order, they want confidence that you're going to deliver it and you're going to deliver it on time, no quality issues or anything like that. So why not put information out there like, hey, this is what we do, this is how we have confidence, and we're going to deliver your part with no issues. You can trust in us. That's what they want to see. So it's just about giving that confidence out there, and then when customers come for the first time, or whether it's somebody new who's at a customer we've been doing years of work with, the first thing we do is we go sit them in the conference room and we show this is our process. We pull up Pro Shop, we show them how we quote jobs, we show them how we take an order for them that's currently running on a machine. I make sure I try to find one that's running on a machine. And I say,
Yep.
look, this order's running on the machine right now. When we go out there, I'll show you how it looks for the machinist, and I can pull up and show them first articles and a sign off and all that stuff. So it just gives them confidence that they're doing business and giving orders to a company that can make it work.
And what is some of their reactions when they see what you show them and then you go and see it live happening on the floor?
This is awesome. I really love this. I mean, before we walk out of the conference room, they're like, man, this is awesome. They're just in awe. So
Yeah.
everybody
That,
says that, it's all like, man, y'all processes are really in place. You'll have your processes and procedures in place. And if you can show customers how you're process oriented and we have checklists for things, they really appreciate that.
yeah. Yep. Indeed. And I've heard clients share many times, and we experienced it back in the Pro CNC days even, that they'll say, wow, this is a better system than we used to run our company with. Like,
Yeah,
I wish we had something this good.
I've heard it. Yes.
That's definitely an encouraging sign that they're feeling confident in your abilities. Um, all right, so I realize we have been very efficient with this webinar, which is good. Just like everything you guys do is very efficient, and let's just get it done. So I don't know, for those of you on the call today, where you're at in your business cycle, whether things are slammed, whether things are kind of slow. But a nod to our friends and customer over at Roush Yates, the off season is the time to, to improve your systems, to reflect on, the things that have been a challenge in the past, put tools in place, keep getting better at it. And yeah, don't wait till the heat of the pace, picks up again to realize that you're gonna just keep fighting the same battles and same firefights all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, call to action, start 2026 strong, whether that's, reaching out to us or working with us or, just investing in your own teams, your own processes, your own people. Set a vision for what you want to do next year and work backwards to build milestones to, whether it's revenue targets or new machines or initiatives that you want to put in place. This whole I love this this idea of setting a big vision, a long ways out, and then setting more and more concrete ideas coming closer and closer till you actually have, action items for today or tomorrow or next week. And that's the way you keep moving the ball down the field.
Yeah. And
So,
to your point, that's exactly what we do now. We have a 3 to 5 year goal, and then we at the end of the year we plan for next year, and then we break it down quarterly, and then we look at it monthly. So you got to have a target. Yeah.
yep, absolutely. Fantastic. Well, want to open up the floor to Q&A. There's got to be some questions for Kody here, and so take advantage if you have a question about this. Let's see here. How would you recommend setting up the shop so machinists can easily access the system? This is a good question, Daniel, and I appreciate it because Kody was the one that really turned me on years ago into the ROI of shop computers, which we made a whole blog about and a little post about. So share if you remember the details, and I'm sure maybe we can find that link if we still have it
Yeah.
and share it in the chat. But yeah, talk about shop floor computers and digital access.
I don't remember, so I don't remember the exact numbers I ran, but it was the money you would spend on putting a workstation at every single machine, um, the the time you would save for the machinist having to walk back and forth to computers and clock in and out, you'll save more than that of what the workstations will cost easily because you got to figure your machine's not running when the machinists aren't there, so they're walking back and forth to a workstation. When they do that, they're gonna stop and talk to somebody. It's bound to happen. It's there's no way around it.
So
So
shout out to Sarah. She's already on it. Sarah's so amazing. Yeah, there's the blog, the ROI of dedicated shop computers. And I believe, I haven't read it in a few years, but I believe you said it was 3 weeks,
Probably, yeah.
right?
Yep.
So yeah, if you're going to spend $500 on a shop floor, a micro PC and a couple of monitors and a keyboard and mouse and a stand, that you will earn that back in increased spindle hours in 3 weeks,
Yeah.
rather than letting your machinist wander around, going to clock in or clock out at a terminal halfway down the shop, or getting distracted by somebody, or going to ask the programmer something that they don't know. Like it is, yeah, it was when I was so excited when you told me that you'd done the rough math on this, and I was like, that's amazing. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, great question, Daniel. Um, and I'll share, like, we have most customers certainly are putting in a dedicated computer at each main workstation. So every machine, the tooling area, assembly bench, certainly like final inspection, shipping, of course. Um, but many are now going to double monitors, right? So most of these devices these days can output two monitors. Um, and the additional 80 or $100 to put a second monitor on there, that ROI is just days, right? To be able to have the drawing up and your work order or the inspection report or plan, and your work instructions or a video, just trying to do it with less real estate and try to pinch some pennies on, keeping it, keeping it really inexpensive. Just, I think it's really sort of tripping over dollars to pick up dimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to like cut the check, or to spend a few $1,000s all at once on some computers, but yeah, that return on higher throughput and more focused time with machinists staying at their machines, and quite honestly, they probably don't want to be walking around looking for information or asking people, so it's going to make them a little probably happier as well. So Pat says, Kody, you mentioned how quickly the team started loading jobs into ProShop and abandoning old practice, but what was the biggest challenge you faced in implementation, and how did you get over it?
Yeah, so I mean, ours really did go pretty smooth. But uh, the biggest challenge I think any shop will face is just going to be getting buy-in from employees on the shop floor that are so used to doing things their old way. And this kind of goes into, I see Nate Hodges
The
asked a
same
question too.
question, yes.
And the answer I'm gonna provide is for both of them, but Nate asked, how did we handle the political battle of tenured employees not being open to changing the system they have used for 20, 30 years? And the best way to put it for them is to explain to that employee how this will help them in their job. You can tell them, look, this is going to help you with your time tracking. I'm going to know, not that we're trying to micromanage you, but I can see how great of a job you're doing. That's going to lead to better performance raises. That's going to lead to better bonuses. We'll have complete more visibility on the whole shop floor. We can see if you're actually struggling with a job. Now you can clock into, I'm troubleshooting and leaving a note, and that way it's there for the history of the part. But if you got to position it and as how is it going to help that person?
Yeah, and I've certainly, walked plenty of shop floors and had machinists, literally come up and shake my hand and thank me for building ProShop. Not that I built it, but that, we help them really just like do the fun part of their job, right? The actual machining, the setups, the troubleshooting, not the, wandering for half an hour looking for that right tap, or, setting up something they thought was the right way, but it turns out there was this really critical detail that they forgot about, even if they were the one that did it last time, and they scrap an expensive piece of material. I mean, no machinist wants to do those things.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you really can focus on, it is a massive tool for them to just do the work that they love and not have to do as much of the work that they don't love. Hopefully that gets them on board. I was just at a shop in Florida a couple weeks ago, and there was a gentleman who was, I think, 71 years old, and he was loving ProShop, right? He was taking pictures with a tablet of his setups so he could remember next time, and he was kind of geeking out on it, right? And not every 70-year-old machinist is going to do that,
Yeah.
but you know, I guess another thing that we sometimes see is there's going to be a broad range, a spectrum of machinists that are super excited and those that are reluctant. And leaning into the excited ones and really getting their buy-in and letting them share their enthusiasm with everybody else, that could be way more effective than management saying, "Hey, here's this new tool that we want you to use."
Yeah, and I'll to add on to that, if we, you have somebody like Hollywood who's and it goes back to the video you posted, who's
Yeah.
just super excited because his time tracking is over 90% and you can hear it in his voice. But
Oh
if he's
yeah.
that excited at that time, I mean he's gonna portray that throughout the whole shop, and
Yeah.
get everybody else excited.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Yeah, two questions here about which ERP you were using before.
It was E2.
Yeah, which of course is now Job Boss Squared, which is, from what I know, just E2 with a fresh coat of paint and a logo on it. Nothing really different in the last many, many years.
Yeah.
So, all right. If there's no more questions, and if there is, go ahead and throw them in. We'll get to them. We can come to the thank you page, share. Thank you, Kody, for putting your actual email here. And yeah, thank you for being here and sharing so openly. Thanks for all the great questions. This is for most shops, this is one of the bigger decisions that they have to make. We totally understand that it's fraught with potential, fear of what could go wrong, or because I mean, for some of our clients, ProShop is like the third or fourth ERP they've had, and they went through hell with some of the previous ones and are really gun shy about doing that again. And I totally get it. But sometimes it comes down to a bit of a leap of faith that when you've done enough due diligence, that you've checked off the boxes and heard enough from current customers that hopefully are pretty genuinely speaking about their experience, and we've got you if it's the ProSop question, and if it's something else big, go with your gut. Never I never feel I never feel like I made the wrong decision when I go with my gut, right? Even if my brain is a little still in fear mode sometimes. So, well, I think that about wraps it up. We're going to give everyone 7 or 8 minutes of their day back. But Kody, thank you again so much for this. It's always fun to hang out online with you. And
Same.
yeah, appreciate you sharing today.
Yep. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, everybody, we'll see you at the next one. Thanks for joining us, and see you next time. Enjoy your Thanksgiving if you're going to celebrate that next week.
Bye, everyone.